What's in the bag, son, for September, October, and November is going to happen right now. Now, as you may all have guessed, not everything was able to be fit in the bag, but I'll get into that. I put as much in the bag as needed to be fit, and we're just going to leave it at that. But there is a shit ton of stuff, especially box sets. This is going to be a good episode for box sets especially. Starting off with a triple pack on 4K of Back to the Future. Now, I was late on my Back to the Future game. I had not seen it, I think, until this year. It might have been 2020 still, but I'm pretty sure that I just binged the trilogy in 2021. Which is ridiculous. I didn't grow up with it like a lot of people did, but as soon as I saw the first one, I think I gave it a 5 out of 5, and if I didn't, that's what it deserves. Loved the second one. Third one is the one that just took a little tiny bit step down for me, but I love the trilogy as a whole entirely, and it's an absolute classic, as it deserves to be. Lake Placid 3 on DVD. This finished my 6th collection, and the franchise reviews are on the channel, so go check those out. Morgan Film Fan, Lake Placid review series. Hellhounds. This is by a director named Eric Whiting. I have a review for this on the channel as well, and this was released in 2013. I think this was his directorial debut. I reviewed all his films. I met the guy through Facebook, and I heard of his films through another channel I watch, Mr. Parka, he has reviewed his films before, and that's how I kind of heard of Eric Whiting's films. And got them. Very awesome indie director, and very obscure horror if you're into that. Like obscure, low budget, independent horror, like really, really grim and bleak cinema. Really good stuff if you're into that kind of thing. Reviews for that and his other 2 films on the channel, like I said. Now this one, I purchased, I think, like beginning of August. I got the wrong one, okay? And a lot of people are going to make fun of me for this. I received the Day of the Dead 1985 by George A. Romero. I already owned it, so I didn't buy the George A. Romero 1985 DVD because I already owned it. And I bought this one instead, but they shipped me the wrong one, so I had to ship that one back and correct the company that I bought it from to get Day of the Dead. And the reason why probably some people are going to make fun of me is because a lot of people trash this film. I didn't mind it. It's a B film completely, and it's very low budget, and it's very, the acting's terrible. It's a standard B film. It's what you expect it to be. But Day of the Dead 2 Contagium is so much fucking worse that when people shit on this, I'm just like, have you watched Day of the Dead 2 Contagium? It's not even watchable. I got through half of it and I stopped it. This is the one with, it's from 2008. This is the one with Nick Cannon in it. It's cheesy, cheap zombie fun, which is a sell for me right away, especially if I could find it cheap. This one, I have a review on the channel for it. It's called Them That Follow. This is one of those films that I watched the trailer for, and it has such an amazing cast to it that I'm like, why is this film so hard to find? Why didn't it have a bigger release? Why has this film played at like one theater in one state once? Like, I'm exaggerating, but it's one of those films that you can't find. But you watch the trailer, it's like, this looks amazing. So it's an independent film for sure, and it has like Thomas Mann in it. Thomas Mann from Project X. It has Olivia Colman. That's her name, right? Yeah, Olivia Colman, the Queen. Man, she's done so much. But yeah, so the cast is amazing. It's an odd story. It has a lot of like religious fanaticism and stuff like that. A lot of snake scenes. It's about this like cult church thing that uses snakes to make ceremonies and spells on people. Like, it gets weird, but it's really interesting. It's just too bad that it didn't have a bigger release, and it's only available on DVD. So that's Them That Follow. I enjoyed it. Go check out the review on my channel. Reviewed these as well. Fear Farm and Fear Farm 2. These are very low budget, very B-movie films, horror films. They're great for Halloween. They're about these kids that go into the wrong corn maze, and in this corn maze a lot of sadistic shit happens. They're fun. Again, B-movie schlock. They're independent. you're signing up for what you know it's going to be, so you either like it or you don't. I'm a fan of it, and I always enjoy, turn your brain off kind of fun. This movie was awesome. This movie also has a review on the channel. Most of these I reviewed already because I'm doing 3 months of purchases here. Audition by Takashi Miike, the man who's directed over 100 films. This film has been on my radar for a long time to buy and to watch. I watched it for the first time about 3 weeks ago, reviewed it, loved it. This film was way more fucked up than I thought it was going to be. I won't, if you want to watch the review, it's a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen this film, watch it first for sure before going to see the review, but definitely highly recommend Audition. It's definitely one of Takashi Miike's best films in the world. Here's a film that I have no idea why it wasn't nominated for an Academy Award, because this is pure Oscar bait right here. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. I mean, how can you not nominate Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers as a Best Picture nominee, right? Review on the channel as well. This one got a shit ton of reviews. I wonder why. It's probably because of the title. Probably. Yeah, so check out the review for that one, or just go buy the damn thing. It's from 1988. It has Linnea Quigley in it. She's a famous horror actress. For any horror fans from the 80s, you should know who Linnea Quigley is. Alone in the Dark on Scream Factory. I'd never watched this before I bought it, so this was a blind buy. I watched it. There's a review on the channel. It was good. It was a good horror flick. It blends slasher elements and home invasion elements really well, and I had a good time with it. It's a cool, kind of unique horror film for the early 80s when it came out. So that's a great one. This is an absolute classic that it took a while for me to pick up from this Shout Select line, and that's When Harry Met Sally. One of the better romantic comedies compared to the slew of cheesy romantic comedies that there are on the market and that have come out through so many decades. Not that this one is comparing to another film that I'm going to mention, but one of my favorite films when it comes to romantic comedies is One Fine Day, starring George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer. There you go. That's probably my favorite romantic comedy ever, I would say. At least one that I've seen that I can remember. That's one of the most memorable for me. But this one, not at that level, but it comes pretty... It's up there as well. It's up there on the scale. I do recommend When Harry Met Sally with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. Late 80s, really good stuff, really good acting, really good chemistry between the two, and a really, really, really good script. The script is top-notch. It's, you're not going to fall asleep if you're watching it with your girlfriend or your wife or anything like that. It's good for any audience, pretty much. Not really a kid's film, but, for male adults, female adults, thumbs up. Oh my gosh, first time watch here from Shout Factory. Jesus Christ. The Deer Hunter. This was amazing. This blew me out of the park. Blindbot, had never seen it before, have always heard great things about it. Academy Award winner. It deserves it. I'm just going to say that there's a scene involving a POW camp where these two soldiers are forced to play Russian roulette. That is the best, most intense scene I've ever seen in my life. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I really wonder how many takes that scene took to make, and it almost seems like one of those The Shining situations with Stanley Kubrick, on those, stories that you hear that he tormented his actors and really brought fear and suffering into them, because the way Robert De Niro and blanking again, Christopher Walken, they're back and forth in that scene. It's just horrifying. It's something that can't be explained, and I wouldn't anyway because I wouldn't want to spoil it. But this is a long film too. It goes over 3 hours. It's 3 hours and 3 minutes, and it's such a classic, classic war film. Again, I either like war films or I don't like them at all, because war is a touchy subject for me. But that one's done really, really well, and I love it. Shout Factory again, The Pianist. This won Adrian Brody his Oscar for Best Actor, and he certainly deserves it. This is one hell of a film. Had a great time with it. It's very sad. It's a very, very sad picture, but it's very moving. There's a lot of people being shot, like innocents. A lot of really, really horrible things happening to innocents. Hard to watch, but if you can stomach it, and if you like really well directed and heavy pieces of cinema, and that's a great World War II story that took place in Poland. True story as well. One of the best films I've seen this year, Waves. I loved Waves. This is the Trey Edward Schultz film. He directed Krisha, and he directed It Comes at Night. Yes. This is his third directorial, like, major motion picture, whatever you want to call it. It's an indie film, so it's an independent film. But the highest budget that he's made so far, and really, really heavy, like really heavy story. I have a review on the channel. I loved Waves. It's streaming on Prime if you want to watch it first, on Amazon Prime, so you can check it out there. Highly recommended though. Go buy it if you like. I recommend buying it, but if you want to watch it first, it's on Prime. Classic slasher, you could already call it. It's definitely a cult film, and at this point it's already classic, we'll say. The remake of House of Wax, with of course the infamous Paris Hilton. This film is not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. It's almost 2 hours, which is surprising for a slasher, but the killer's cool. It has all the slasher elements that you need in a slasher film, and it fits the slasher profile really, really well. So I really enjoyed House of Wax. This is a film that I watched as a kid, and I really liked, and I've always remembered, and I've always wanted to buy it at some point. And then when I figured out that Scream Factory not too long ago put it out on Blu-ray, I'm like, yes, perfect time to buy. Eight-Legged Freaks. Now this is a throwback to the 50s. I watched it the other day. I think I liked it better as a kid, probably because I was a kid. And now that I can pick out like the CGI and the more bad acting, and the fact that Scarlett Johansson was here at a really young age, and I didn't know that when I was a kid because I didn't know who she was. But yeah, so this is great. It's cheesy fun. I mean, look at the cover. You're going to know if you like this type of film or not, so don't go watching it or buying it and be like, this sucks. It's so cheesy. It's about giant spiders. Yeah, well, Eight-Legged Freaks, giant spider right on the fucking cover, so what are you saying? Siege, review coming soon. I already watched this film. I really like this film. This is a Canadian film, very exploitive, and well, very, 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 very touchy subject matter, because as soon as I bought it, I'm like, do I actually want to watch this? Because this is about a bunch of extreme homophobes going into a gay bar in the early 80s. I think it's 1982. It might be 1981. It's 1981. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, I'm quite sure it's 1981. And massacring gay people. This is touchy because just a few years ago, this actually happened somewhere in Florida. Pardon me if I'm wrong, if it's somewhere else besides Florida, but this gay club, a bunch of people ransacked it and started shooting the place up and massacring gay people. That's basically this plot, and then one of the young homosexual men escapes and hides out in this apartment, and then it's basically a siege on this apartment with this gang of thugs and these people who live, like these random innocents, trying to protect this gay man. And the people, like the thugs, are trying to get in and after the young gay man, and it's just fucked up. It's really fucked up. Cops versus Thugs from Arrow Video. I have not opened it, so it's still in the plastic. I look forward to watching this, and this will be getting an Arrow Video review. Just don't know when, because I've got a lot of Christmas reviews to catch up on right now, but it will be getting a review soon. Soon enough. Also from Scream Factory, The Dead Zone. This is a classic. I watched this for the first time this year. Streamed it, loved it, and then decided to buy it because I knew Scream Factory already had it out, and I always get them with the slipcovers, of course. You got the original artwork, you got the slipcover artwork. It's awesome. I really like this film. This is a classic Stephen King story, and worth a watch for sure. Another classic, another controversial classic because of a lot of shit that happens in it, and I'm not going to say I don't disagree, but I'm going to have to say this again. It's the 80s, okay? It's a different time. People complain about shit that happened in the past and just when things were different. It's like, it's not 2021, it's the 80s, man. Like, just everything was different then. Comedy was different then. And it's comedy. That's the biggest thing that I harp at when people, like, dissect and get all, leftist and political and shit like that about comedy. Like, I could go on a rant forever, but, like, even The Closer with Dave Chappelle, I watched it. It's not bad. It's not horrible, but people, like, go insane. So, like, I'm not I'm not somebody who doesn't understand that times change and things change, culture changes every decade. But I'm also not somebody who's just gonna, like, get offended by every freaking thing. And if you are one of those people, that's fine, but this is not the channel for you. You're probably already unsubscribed. Things are what they are, and this is one of those. I didn't even show the film yet. 16 Candles from Arrow Video. Yes, the subject matter and shit that goes on in here is really, really messed up in specific parts of the movie. But overall, the film's good and great, actually. It's a classic, and it's really funny. I'd say there's only one scene that's controversial that I didn't find funny at all, but it didn't, like, ruin my life like it does, like, oh my god, how dare they? Like, I'm not that person. Yeah, 16 Candles, I recommend. It's a classic John Hughes film. Yes, John Hughes film, Jesus. I want to stand corrected when I mention names, and I was just making 100% sure that it was John Hughes that directed it, and yeah, absolutely it was. This is one that I got really early on, the same time I got that Day of the Dead remake with Nick Cannon. This is not a movie, this is a television series. Californication. This is one that I missed, so I got the complete series. I watched a few episodes of the first season, like, when it was on Showtime, and I liked it. I just never continued with it because I was obsessed with Dexter at that time. It came out around the same time, and I was just hooked on Dexter, and that was my show. So this one kind of, flew off the radar for a long time, but I've always remembered it, and then I'm like, whatever happened to Californication? That show needs to be watched. So I bought the whole series, and I just finished the first 2 seasons so far, and it's so funny. Friggin' Davey, I forget his name right now, but the X-Files guy, he's hilarious in this role. Totally different role than pretty much everything he's done before that. So funny. Alright, we're going to get into a few box sets now. These are awesome. This is a box set that there's no way in hell that I was missing this one. Cold War Creatures, okay? These are 4 films from Sam Katzman. Now, I watched, again, on Mr. Vargas' channel, him reviewing these. He shows the trailers a lot, and I usually just watch the trailers anyway on my own. But I was watching the trailers for the 4, and I'm, like, looking at and I'm like, even the first trailer, I'm like, okay, I gotta buy this, because I love 1950s. I think these are all from the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so these are all 50s films. They're, like, science fiction monster movies mostly. There's Creature with the Atom Brain. It's kind of like a sci-fi zombie kind of film-ish. The Werewolf, but a werewolf. Zombies of Mora Tau, which is like a voodoo zombie film. And then this is the 4th film in the package. And as soon as I saw this title, I'm like, okay, bought. Take my money. Take my money today. The Giant Claw, okay? If anybody doesn't know The Giant Claw, this is one of the cheesiest films ever made with one of the cheesiest bird monsters ever put on screen. They actually chose this bird monster last minute because they either ran out of money or they just didn't want to spend the money on actual good special effects. So they literally cut this bird into this film, post-production, when all the actors weren't even reacting to a bird, apparently, or a giant bird. They didn't know what they were reacting to. They're just like, pretend you see a monster. So these people are like, ah. And then post-production, they put this random, weird, big bird-looking thing. And, fuck. I watched the movie. That's the only one in this package that I watched before buying the package. And as soon as I saw the giant claw, plus the trailers for these three films and how gloriously cheesy they looked, this had to have been bought. So Cold War Creatures, if you like 1950s cheese, is gold in a box right over there. I think there was a mistake on Amazon.com because this ended up being $59.99 or $79.99 American. Really, I think it was $59.99 American dollars. So I said, click immediately. This is Universal Classic Monsters 30 film collection that I've been waiting for a while for a price drop, or the cheapest I could find pretty much. And it's been on my radar forever. So a lot of people know this if you're film fans. They released all the classic monsters in, well, I think it's all, at least there might be more, but for a 30 pack, I'm pretty sure you're close to all the Universal Pictures classic monster movies, you know, and their sequels and their spin-offs, and the Abbott and Costello. Yeah, their films are in here too. They meets Dracula, meets Abbott and Costello, meets Frankenstein, all those films. So, great box set, and I'm glad I found it for that price. Damn. We've got Fast and Furious 8 movie collection on 4K. Again, a box set that I've been looking at for a while and found it at a pretty good price and decided to land on it. Fast and Furious 9 I really didn't like too much. I probably won't even get it at all. Funny enough, I watched Hobbs and Shaw yesterday and really liked that one. So, although it didn't feel like a Fast and Furious film whatsoever, and it's not, it's a spin-off. Like, the only thing that relates to Fast and the Furious in that film is the two characters, Hobbs and Shaw, played by Jason Statham and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Other than that, it just feels like an action film. Like, it feels like your standard Jason Statham film. It's just straight up action, and Jason Statham drives a car, but he doesn't do much stunt work with it. But the first 8 Fast and Furious films, the first 8, I liked them all. The fourth was the worst. The fourth I found the most boring. But 1 to 3, even Tokyo Drift is fine for me. It's not great, but it's fine. I like it. And the series as a whole is great. 1 to 3 are great. 3 good. 4 didn't like so much. 5 to 8 are fantastic as well. So, one of the best things about being a film collector is when friends of yours want to get rid of films, and they bring you over a box of, I swear, over 100 DVDs for you to pick and choose, or just keep the whole box, but, you know, obviously a box full of so many films, I'm either going to own some, not going to want to keep some, you know, like, kind of have to refurbish them in a little bit. But I was able to pick a shit ton of DVDs from this box, so thank you to my buddy Nuno, who dropped them off, massive box of DVDs. He wanted to give me them for free, but I'm like, no, I'm giving you some money for these. Like, fuck, I'm not gonna just take a huge box of DVDs and just be like, all right, see you later. Yeah, so these are the DVDs that I got from the box that I wanted to keep, that I refurbished, that I gave them new cases and whatnot. And some of them I haven't even seen yet. Some of them are going to be first-time watches for me, and yeah, so I'm just going to quickly go through them. I'm not really going to talk about them. I'm just going to say what they are, basically. Final Destination, the trilogy, the first 3 films. Red Dragon, the 3rd film in that franchise, or 4th if you count Manhunter, which is, it's a remake of Manhunter anyway. Red Cliff, The Rundown, Pride and Glory, The Protector, Rat Race, classic on Rat Race. Fucking love Rat Race. Skinwalkers, B-movie, still enjoyable. Solaris, I'm going to be doing a review on the original Solaris because I have it on the Criterion Collection, and right after I do that, I'll be reviewing this one in comparison. The Spirit, Van Helsing. That's one I haven't watched. That'll be a first time. Righteous Kill. Night at the Museum. The Night Listener. The Number 23. Old Dogs. Gotta have a little family fun in that one. In the whole collection, because, you know, kids' movies are awesome too. Orange County. Shanghai Nights. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. That'll be a cool one to revisit, because I haven't seen it since it was in theaters. I watched it in theaters, and that's the last time I watched it. Whiteout with Kate Beckinsale. White Men Can't Jump. I did watch this one for the first time since I got it. I watched it on this DVD. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome banter between Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. I really liked it. Wicker Park. The Island. Lady in the Water. That's a funny one. Because I'm not going to lie, it's kind of a shitty movie, but it's still so entertaining, and it's still... You can laugh with it, and you can enjoy its concept that it was aiming for. Just didn't really hit the dot when it comes to the whole dartboard kind of thing. Man of the Year. Me, Myself, and Irene. Yes Man. Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. That's a lot of Jim Carrey films. Land of the Lost. I'm wondering why this is in French. Alright, I guess it was backwards. Land of the Lost. Or Terre Perdue. Terre Perdue. I don't speak French. I'm just trying here. I'm trying to pronounce it. Terre Perdue. Sue me if that was butchered. The Soloist. Babylon AD. 10,000 BC. Never watched it, heard shitty things, but we'll find out myself. That's what I do. I don't care if I heard a film shitty. If I still want to watch it, I'll check it out and judge for myself. So, I've been corrected by everybody saying it's shitty, and it actually is shitty, and then I've watched something that people say is shitty, and I actually love it. So, The Missing. Hannibal Rising. This is the 5th one. I hadn't even heard of this one. I just saw Hannibal Rising. What is that? Where does that fall into the series? Apparently it's a prequel, so it's before Manhunter even. So I hear anyway. Shit. This is an awesome one. Moon. I watched this a long time ago. I cannot wait to revisit this one. This is a very great science fiction independent film. And when you mix sci-fi and indie movies, sometimes they don't have the budget to pull it off. Because, you know, it takes a big budget to make a space film. That one pulls it off. That one pulls it off real well when it comes to something that's taking place in space and has a smaller budget. So, I highly recommend Moon. Go check it out. Starring Sam Rockwell. Mr. Bean's Holiday. Mr. Woodcock. Mr. Wooden Penis. I swear that's what I call the film. As soon as I saw the title, I'm like, I just call it Mr. Wooden Penis. Munich. Bad Lieutenant. This was a first time watch. I loved it. It's dark as fuck. Beowulf. Breach. Gran Torino. Pathfinder. The Scream Trilogy 1 to 3. Shanghai Noon. This one I remember watching and not liking at all, but this was a while ago. This is going to get a second watch, and I'll make my decision then. The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio, directed by Danny Boyle, who I love. Danny Boyle is the man. He directed 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, as well as some other films that I also love. Blood Diamond. Never seen this one. Heard great things. It'll be a first-time watch. Bruno. Need I say more about Bruno? Constantine. Gone in 60 seconds. Oh, It's a fuck ton of DVDs. Friday Night Lights, The Forbidden Kingdom, the remake of The Fog, which is absolutely nowhere close to the quality of the original Fog by John Carpenter. This is a film that is absolutely soaked and marinated in the 2000s. This is 2000s horror at its finest, with the model-looking guys with the perfect hair and like shiny faces and like that Twilight era, but horror. It's still fun. It's a good film to make some kind of a drinking game to, or just fucking laugh at or whatever. First Sunday, The Eye. Ooh, classic. A lot of people love this one. Alpha Dog. How many unsubscribers am I going to get for this one? Alone in the Dark by Uwe Boll. I've actually never seen it, so this will be a first-time watch. I watched House of the Dead, and there's a review for House of the Dead. I actually succumbed myself to that film. And I'm going to be succumbing myself to this one because I've heard nothing but bad things. I will find out for myself. Another war classic that I've never seen before, The Thin Red Line. Mad Max 2 and 3. I haven't seen either of these, so this will be two to watch for the first time, and maybe get the Blu-rays if I like them, because I have the first one on Blu-ray. It's fucking awesome. Scream Factory, actually. The Siege. Mad Money. The Road. Triple Pack. Fear, The Watcher, and Raising Cain. Have not seen either of those three. Most familiar with this one, these two, well, that one I heard of. Watcher I don't think I've heard of at all, but haven't seen these, not familiar even with the stories of either. And Fear I've heard, I know what it's about. I know who's in it, Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg, but never seen it. Waitress. And the last one, Superman Returns. This is the only Superman film that I now own. So, I've never been a huge Superman guy, but, you know, I'll check it out. I'll obviously have to watch the first one now and go find that somewhere. And, maybe I'll watch the whole Superman franchise. I have watched Man of Steel. And Henry Cavill is pretty awesome. But, yeah, Superman Returns, never seen it. Never watched these classic ones, so we shall see. That's everything. Alright, that's what's in the bag, son. And that's from September, October, and November. Hopefully, if you're still here, you enjoyed yourself. You enjoyed me listing off all these freaking films. And I will be getting to the December one when December comes around. Basically, everything I get for Christmas, mostly. I took so long to do these because I got caught up with 31 Days of Horror and a bunch of reviews in between, so never really got a chance to actually take everything and split it into 3 months, so I did it all at once. And, you know, you add in that whole box, too, of free films. Well, free films, I contributed some money, obviously, but yeah, that was very nice, and that makes one hell of a growth in my collection with all those DVDs. So I really, really am appreciative of that, and I really love when you know, people know that I'm a film fan and a film collector, and take the opportunity to offer me, you know, some goodies like that. It's always real nice, and it's always a good feeling. That's it. So that was What's in the Bag, Son, for September, October, November. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I already mentioned all the films that I showed that have reviews on the channel, but obviously there's more reviews to come. I'm doing a slew of Christmas films in December, so stay tuned for that. That's all I got. So until next review, stay tuned, subscribe if you like the content, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, and cheers.